All right. In this video, we're going to be looking at the Microsoft Teams program and how we'll be using it during course. Um, the goals are to show you how to get to the program, navigate the program, and use the live session part of the app. So what is Teams? Teams is a video conferencing app by Microsoft. It's similar to Big Blue Button or Zoom, just tied into the Microsoft ecosystem. Since we're a Microsoft campus, I use this app for my live sessions, online office hours, to coordinate recordings, and to maintain the class notebook. There are a lot of options and capabilities in Teams, but we'll only be using a few of the functions. So, where can you get Teams? The easiest way to load Teams onto your machine, I do suggest loading it instead of just using the web app, unless you happen to be on Linux, and then you can use the web app, is to go to your Office 365 account. Simply go to office.com. So go to the top, type office.com. Oh, all right. So sorry, mine's already set to log in. When you log into office.com, it's going to ask for your student email and student password. That's going to log you into Microsoft 365, which is what you have as a kind of base office system while you're at JC. Now, your options are going to look a little bit different than mine do. You're going to have fewer options on your system overall because I have a faculty account, not a student account, but you get the general idea. So you'll see a list of apps at the top. You'll see a list of apps on the side. Another way to get here is to log into the Outlook account. So they taught you in your orientation how to log into Outlook. All that's going to do is bring you to this page, right? And you're like, oh, that looks familiar. That's how I check my email on campus. And I'll be like, yes, that is how you check your email on campus. If you go down to the bottom here where it says more apps and click on it, and then go to, oh, I can't see any of these things. And why is it not showing me that? There it is, up at the top. If you go up here at the top, you're going to see all the apps that are present in your system. Click on Teams. So this takes you to Teams Classic. I'm going to clean up my tabs here because I hate having open tabs I'm not using. This will bring you to the Teams page. All right. So the Teams page is where you kind of start at. Now it's going to ask you a couple of things. It's going to say, do you want to turn on desktop notifications? That's up to you whether you do or not. It's also going to say here at the top, your browser settings may cause issues with the Teams web app. Use the Teams desktop app for the best experience. Learn more. So if you were to click on that, you get Teams doesn't load, blah, 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 blah. Gives you a whole breakdown of all this. And it'll show you how to load on Teams onto your system if you want to. You can also just keep it as a web app. You can go to Teams for Education and load it directly from there. So what are teams? Teams are just groups that are set up by instructors. Um, some instructors use them, some don't. I know they're pretty popular in the business department. Science department tends to still gear more towards Zoom or Big Blue Button. I like Teams because it's integrated with everything else. So you should, by the time you view this, have a box that looks like this, or one that lists your class in it if you're not Spring 24. So I'm using the Chem 131 I-50 Spring 24 class as an example. So if I click on that, that takes me to the team. All right. So this is the landing page for the team. Obviously, you won't have this stuff at the top because you're not the owner of the team, but you will have this stuff on the side. Now, most of this stuff we're going to ignore. A lot of this stuff we're going to ignore, right? The things that are important to us, homepage, class notebook. So if you go to homepage, it brings you to a slowly loading SharePoint page. Not sure why it's loading so slow. Probably because I'm in the web app. We'll minimize that and go into the actual app itself. Why are you not there? Yeah, well. I was going to bring up the app. That's not bringing it. Well, homepage is just a page where it's going to give you some like basic information. For some reason, it's not loading. It might be a setting, a privacy setting I have going during the recording. But the more important one is the class notebook. All right. So the class notebook is going to be a OneNote file that we're going to use in class. Now, why do I use a OneNote file? Well, excuse me. Again, still recovering from pneumonia. The OneNote file I use is basically because I found that if all I do is PowerPoint during live sessions, I don't get any feedback from the students and I don't get any questions from the students. They just simply think that I'm dumping into their brains and that's enough, and I don't get active participation. So instead, what I use are OneNote files. And we're going to go over all this in a separate video about how OneNote works, how to get it on your system, how to use it. All right. So for right now, realize that this is going to be a kind of content holding area that you're going to be able to access and pull out information from. All right. But really, what we're looking at Teams at is we're looking at how do I get into meetings, right? How do I go to meetings? So for that, what you're going to do is you're going to look at the calendar over here on the side. Like I said, you can ignore a lot of this stuff over here. Most of this isn't going to pertain to what you're going to do, but you can look over here on calendar. Now, if we go forward to January 15th, you're going to notice that there is a Teams meeting set up, right? And you are all going to get a link to this meeting when you get the information about Teams and I load you into the system. So waiting to make sure they didn't screw up the roster anymore in the next couple of days. But you're going to get a link to this meeting. It's going to go directly to your email. It's going to say RSVP, and you're going to, accept or deny type setup. Again, the live sessions are not required attendance, but they are required information. I am going to record every one of them, and they will be posted. And if you cannot attend the live sessions on Monday and Wednesday night, at 8 to 9:30, and again, you can see why it's not Tuesday, Thursday. If you cannot attend those sessions on Monday or Wednesday night, 8 to 9:30, you need to be putting aside 3 hours in the week to watch these, or, hour and a half if you watch them at double speed. I sound like a chipmunk, right? But you need to have reviewed the material in the live sessions. Because I will honestly say 99% of the questions I get in a week, my response is, did you watch the live session? We talked about that. All right. So I've got my invitation to the live session. What do I do with it? Well, when it comes time for the live session, and they can open anytime, I try to be in here an hour ahead of time. I'm at least available an hour ahead of time. But I might not log into the system, like log into the meeting until 15 minutes beforehand. But if somebody's in there when I get in, I'll log in. Right. So what you would do is you would click on it and you would click join. Now, when you click join, that is going to bring up, and it might throw a fit in a second here. Yeah, I gotta allow. So it's going to bring up protocol like this, which is going to say, hey, can you set up your computer? So you're going to set up and make sure that your microphone works and your camera works. You don't have to turn your camera on. I get it. People are watching this while they're laying down in bed eating chips. That's fine. Don't turn the camera on. Fine by me. At least have the microphone available. Turn it off to start, right? Because I don't want to hear you munching the chips. But have it available so you can always stop me and ask a question during class. It's easier to set it up beforehand than get to the point where you want to ask a question. You're like, oh crap, my mic doesn't work. So you're just going to click on that, join now at the bottom. That's going to go directly into the Teams meeting. And honestly, what you're watching right now is a Teams meeting being recorded. That's why to the right side, you see my stupid little owl sitting there with John Ireland under it, because it's a team meeting of one that I'm recording. And that's all you got to do to use Teams. All right. So right now, cancel out of this. So really all you're looking at is the calendar, and then you're going to be looking at the team. You're going to look at the class notebook, which I'm going to go over in a separate video. All right. Thanks for watching this one, and I will see you in class.